Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
This here is a true story about crossing the pond at night in the world's smallest cockpit on the tanker through the weather. Oh, and to the tanker crew who did that, thanks a lot. We really appreciated that. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. Well, there I was crossing the pond, and you could see that I wasn't exactly.
So there I was. It was an evening launch out of Fort Lauderdale, taxiing outbound, and I knew there was another airplane there because I heard them talking to ground. And I had that gut feeling, so I came to a stop, lit up my landing lights, because for whatever reason, my taxi light was not doing it. It's aimed down pretty good. Lit up my landing lights, and sure enough, bigger than shit. Right in front of me was, I think it was a Citation 10. Oh. With no lights on except his port and starboard position lights, which you can't see when you're behind him. His tail position light was out. He had no anti-smash on. He had no landing lights silhouetting himself. And I don't know, I might have been 30 feet from him in an MT-11.
Oh, my gosh.
Not a good way to start your evening.
No.
Oh, man.
No. What airport were you at?
Oh. That was Fort Lickerdale, man.
Gosh.
FLL. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that would have been a little speed bump for you.
Right? No kidding. Yeah. I'd have probably scratched the paint on the nose landing gear and everything and had to explain that.
Oh, buddy.
Speaking of MD-11s, my son came to me today and said he thinks that he read that they have recertified them to begin revenue operations again.
That's what Dizzy just commented, says they're back.
All right. Yeah. That's good. Those poor guys had to sit home and get paid to do nothing for the last 8 months or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So, what have you been up to, Fig? Doing some training?
Well, I'm conducting. I'm the giver of the check rides this month, and it's been busy. It's been busy the last few days. I got to get busy here in a little bit, as a matter of fact.
And speaking of a small world, you texted me the other night. You were giving a check ride to a young man whose dad flew Harriers with us. I went through the RAG with him. So
yes. Yeah, wait, you went through the RAG with him, or did you instruct with him at the RAG?
I think both, actually. We were in the same RAG class, and then I'm pretty sure he was back teaching with me as well.
Pretty awesome.
So
he is
and then we were at the
one
same
of these pilots that has been sitting at home waiting to be brought back to work because the MD-11s were grounded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting paid to do nothing. It's a good gig if you can get it.
It's a good gig. I've never had that opportunity, really, except for during COVID, a little bit.
Right. Another quick one along those lines. People don't understand how the airline world works, but 20 years ago, I was putting in a swimming pool at our place, and a guy shows up, and he's going to do my pool deck, the concrete deck. And he comes up, and he's setting out and doing some measuring, and he's laying out the initial thin boards that are going to be the outline of the form for the concrete to go in. And I'm talking to him a little bit. I'm asking him a question here and there, and I'm getting a, huh, yeah, no, mm-hmm, yeah. And I'm like, man, this, okay, whatever. And I'm watching him work for a little bit, and then I go, how long were you in the Corps? He looks at me like, how'd you know I was in the Marine Corps? I said, yeah, Beirut tattoo on your arm.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, he was in Beirut.
In 1983?
And, yeah.
Oh, shit.
So we chatted for a little bit, and then another time, well, actually, when they showed up with the concrete trucks to pour the concrete and they're doing all the work, the other guy who's with the pool company, he was a subcontractor for the pool company. The guy with the pool company goes, you must have been in the Marines. I went, Yeah. He goes, yeah, he takes care of the Marines. Okay. So I got an extra nice pool deck out of
Nice.
that. And yeah. And then I was going somewhere else.
Yeah. What the hell
So
were
he
you
shows,
going with that, Mike?
So it has to do with the airline world. And so he goes, you're always here. Every time I show up, you're here. Don't you work? Are you retired or something? And I said, oh no. I said, there's, I'm an airline pilot. And so it turns out, when you're gone, you're gone. When you're home, you're home. And it turns out at this particular time, I was being paid not to fly a trip because someone bought the company bought my seat to train another pilot in for operational experience, which is something you have to do with a Czech airman, as you well know, being a Czech airman. So that brought me to, there are 4 stages in a pilot's career, right? One is you got to pay to fly. 2 is you get to fly. 3 is you get paid to fly, and you've made it when you hit number 4. You're getting paid not to fly.
Yeah. Hold on. Let's go back to that stage 2 where it's free to fly.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Well, if you get someone that's, for instance, I got to go do some pipeline work when I was in college with a friend of mine who,
hey,
let's say didn't want to go to work.
I know what that means, pipeline work, but what's that mean to?
Yeah. Oh yeah, right. So you inspect pipelines from the air and assess the.
How is that possible? How does that work?
Yeah. You just if you're ever driving down the road and you look at the markers, you'll see there's a farmer's fence, and then there's like 2 or 3 posts right next to each other with triangles on them or something like that, and those are actually marking pipelines that are underground gas or oil pipelines. And you would go out and inspect. And the weirdest thing I ever found is these guys built a deer blind right on top of the pipeline. It's like, yeah, you guys can't be there,
Yeah, but it was a tactical, perfect spot.
Right?
Yeah. Well, how would you know if the pipeline was intact or not? By looking from the air. How's that work?
You're looking for leaks. You're looking for anyone, either threatening to dig or digging on or near the pipeline, that kind of stuff. You're just looking for general good condition.
He says there's black puddle on the ground next to the pipeline. Is that a clue?
Well, let me tell you a story about a man named Jed.
No, having never done that.
You ask your parents.
I've heard from other guys that did that for a while, building time, that, if it was a gas pipeline, you'd see, if there was a leak, there'd be discoloration in the vegetation where the leak was, that sort of thing.
Bunch of dead animals and people.
And did you have how did you find it and how do you follow it from the air?
Well, you had to know where the route was to start anyway. And then you just had to look for the markers. And they were pretty obvious for the most part. I mean, the turns, if you missed a turn, you'd had to go back to a known point, but they were pretty obvious. It's just almost like following high tension power lines.
Yeah.
Not quite that obvious, but
okay.
But
Roger that.
So, and that's how I got to do some free flying in college. So, or to ferry an airplane over to get a radio worked on or something, like I took an airplane down to New Iberia, Louisiana to have an annual done for somebody once.
Yeah.
That's when I learned about that's a 12,000 foot runway in the middle of South Louisiana for no reason. It was a U-2 base.
I've been there. They had an FBO there with the military fuel contract. And so stopped in there a lot. Wednesdays was the crawfish boil day, and Fridays was another special day. Go out and in for, go out there, have lunch, then do another training sortie on your way back to the base.
Yeah.
Worked out really good.
Exactly. So, oh man. Well, we're certainly heading up on busy season. You were able to squeeze in today. I am as well, but I think we need to tell people at this point, I think for the next couple months anyway, we're looking at probably going to do a best of show every other week and try to do a live show in between. And we may just go to every 2 weeks anyway. It's pretty tough to keep doing it once a week with a lot going on this summer. You're traveling, I'm traveling. Everybody's traveling.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
That's it.
There really are. One of the things that's going on, though, I'm very much looking forward to, as we record this, it's 12 days out. When this hits the road, it hits the show feed, it will be 10 days out from Cherry Point, North Carolina, for the bittersweet end of the Avi-8B Harrier in the United States Marine Corps and the last Marine attack squadron.
The last.
Ever. The last.
Yeah, it's pretty.
The great American.
It's pretty epic. And we're fortunate to get to go.
We absolutely are. And Derek Combs from DCArtworks.net, our show sponsor, will be there. He has a booth. He's going to have all kinds of merch with him. You're going to be able to get beer glasses and whiskey glasses and that kind of stuff with your squadron logo on it. You're going to be able to custom order that sort of thing with your call sign on it. He's going to bring some of those great big squadron patches. He's going to have the 4-foot bulldog patch in steel there for doing photos at the end, and have a couple 2-foot ones. He's going to have my great American bulldog smoking the cigar that I'll be able to stuff in my suitcase, and bring home. I wonder, how do you carry on a 2-foot piece of steel, round steel?
I don't think you're going to. But are you flying down in your plane, or are you airlining it down?
I'm going to take a look at the weather the day prior. I have positive space on an airline just because I have to be there.
Yeah. And we did too.
If that's the case, then maybe I'll wind up paying to ship it. But I got to get that. I'm almost done with my ready room bar downstairs. So I got the ceiling finishing it this week, and getting there. But trying to think. So we'll see Derek. We're going to be on base at 223 during their open house. We're going to be at the Havelock Picnic, and we're going to be at the Morehead City. I'm not sure that it's a picnic, but a similar sort of thing where lots of booths and that sort of thing. So come by and say hello to us. We are going to be raffling off the Avi-8B Harrier Y. Got one extra. So we bought it for that purpose, to find a way to raise money for the show. So we're gonna raffle off the Harrier watch that
need a little
show
light on it.
Not real well, but yeah. Anyway. So you're going to have a chance to win this watch for as little as $20, and it's a $400 watch. So
it's a nice watch. It's got a nice Seiko movement, and it's there's a lot of detail on it. You know, it's got the face of it has the Harrier engine fan blades.
Yeah.
What else is on the front there?
The night glow is both on the cockpit and the hands itself. It's got a GMT hand, day date. Waterproof to 200 meters. I don't think I'll ever dive quite that far. On the back, it has the flags, the 4 countries that flew it, the UK, the US, Spain, and Italy. And this particular watch is serial number 213 of 225. Only 225 of these watches were ever made or ever will be made. So
who's got 223?
You're looking at him, baby.
I do it. I think.
Yep. Since we promoted the show, he was nice enough to send me.
I think mine's 168 or something like that.
Nice. No, I guess 211 would be the only other one. 213 or
214, 211,
214, 211, 214. Yeah. So all the rest, not so much. Not even 231 was ever so close. Oh, Dizzy says his is 43.
Wow.
So, nice.
All right, Diz.
All right.
Nice on you. Good on you, buddy.
I wonder where number 1 went. Bet he has it. So come see us down in Havelock or Morehead City. We're going to be there. We're going to try and get as many stories as we can. We're going to auction off raffle off the watch. We're going to try and meet as many people as we can and want you to come by and say hello to us. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to seeing old friends and making new ones. So,
yeah.
And, crazy week in aviation.
Oh my gosh. So you want to talk about the Midair?
Whiskey Tango Fox.
So my phone started blowing up. You know, it was all you guys in our group. And I thought, and I was busy doing something. I didn't really look at it at the time. And then later I looked at it. I thought, this has got to be AI.
In fact, I think you were giving that young man we talked about a minute ago. It was check ride. Yeah.
And my first reaction was, this isn't real. This is AI induced.
Right. It looks like AI.
Yeah, but then you're like, no, this is legit. Wow. So, help me, because I'm going to plead ignorant here. Was there a air show going on?
Yeah, it was like the Gunfighters Air Show or something like that. So the Blues and the T-Birds weren't there, so they had other military demos there. But the one that confuses me, turns out this is 2 F-18 Growlers, because when I saw 4 shoots on the video, I went, well, okay, this is weird. Is it F-15s? Are those Strike Eagles? And then it came across the transom that those were 2 Navy jets. And I went, oh, okay, well, 2-seat Hornets?
Yeah.
So it turns out it was the Growler, which, those are an extra 40 or 50 million a copy, right? Because, that's how I want to spend.
Electronic warfare airplanes. They were the replacement for the EA-6B Prowler. Right? And holy shit, that was an expensive day.
Yeah, because I don't know, but my guess is that it's probably an extra 30 or 40 million a copy to put the electronic suite on those airplanes. Which then begs the question, why were Growlers even in an air show demo in the first place?
Yeah.
And okay, if you're going to do that, have one. And here's the thing. We don't know why it happened, and we're not going to speculate as to why it happened. We know what happened, though. We can see clearly what happened, and again, and by I mean why it happened, what distracted what caused him to lose sight. We won't know, and we may never know. The military will likely find out in their mishap investigation. But we can clearly see that he was not following procedures that we're all taught to join up on a lead.
Yeah.
Went belly up on his lead and lost sight of him.
And how they got lined up perfectly so that all 4 of those guys got out is truly like that's hand to God stuff, right?
Yeah, lead shouldn't have gotten out. If in fact, for those that are watching live, I'll go ahead and play it here. The video. It was, whoops, let me find where, there it is. Yeah. So you see lead is on the bottom and 2 is to the top right. 2 is joining on him. Why he's above him in a join instead of level with, that's number 1. And then he's I'm causing it there.
And it's oops.
And he just manages to pierce the right vertical stab. And back it up just a little bit. There's number 2 is punching out first. But the noses are just far enough apart. Lead just punched out, and the noses are far enough apart that the Wizzo and pilot got out of that airplane, the bottom airplane. Had they been lined up more perfectly,
it'd have been
that would have ended badly.
They're not very high off the ground either. Holy shit.
No, but it might have been 800,000 feet. Maybe, I think 1,000 feet is generous. Probably more like 600 to 800 feet, but that's...
Yeah.
So, hey, and we've all admitted it. Have we ever made that mistake? Yeah. Have I ever gone belly up on lead? Yeah. And I've been terrified and never did it again. But,
dude,
I think you talked about it once too, you guys. So it happens, but there's a reason it's not supposed to happen. The procedure is you never lose sight of that on which you were joining. Or you take evasive action.
And based on the geometry I just saw, because we're seeing it from the rear, right?
Yeah.
Perhaps the Dash 2's nose was just high enough. He may have been distracted, looked back, couldn't see the lead because the lead was just under his nose. Didn't have the couldn't see the closure because he lost sight of lead just for a second, and that's all it takes, right? I mean, pure speculative.
That's all it takes.
Holy shit. And isn't it how the 2 airplanes stayed together? Aerodynamically sucked.
I mean, they stuck.
I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. They were welded together after that impact. So thankfully, and here's the thing. Of course, I'm sure you've gotten asked a bunch of questions as well. I've gotten asked a bunch of questions, how can that happen? Why did they fly together? It's like, well, there's a thing called a rejoin or a join up. And the procedures are, you lead angle, get the other guy on the horizon, get too much closer, you do an underrun. unless you're lawman and in the blues, there's no such thing as an underrun.
You're not underrunning.
Right? And as Ben in the comment section says, two's blind. Yeah, thank you, Dos Gringos. And they are not cockpit voice recorder equipped. Unless they had a tape running. They may always have a tape running in the Hornets now. I don't know. We had tapes and they were optionally runnable. Videotape. It was big 1/4-inch tapes.
RePete, I need a timeout.
Yeah.
You like a quick timeout.
Okay, take your time. I can't pause the recording, but take your time. Do what you need to do. I'll go back to in the Harrier. We had these great big military videotapes that we would put in and record with those. And so that would give you HUD data and anything that you said. So in that sense, the tapes were running, but if the airplane crashed, those tapes would have been destroyed. I don't believe there's anything equivalent to a black box on the Hornets and the Growlers. But that's a statement from pure ignorance. I just know that there's not a requirement as there is in the Part 121 world where the airlines are in fact required to have a cockpit voice recorder and a flight data recorder available to them for the NTSB to investigate in the event of some sort of mishap or near miss or that sort of thing. So, and the other thing is those are always used only for safety purposes. So if somebody is doing something they shouldn't be doing, then it's set up as a strict safety measure. Even though an airline has access to the cockpit voice recorder, they are not allowed to take that data and use it in pilot discipline unless they wind up. Here's the thing. Would it be the right thing to do? No, but there's a circuit breaker in the cockpit for the cockpit voice recorder, and one can always pull that. And if it was ever being used for discipline, then I can guarantee that those things would be accidentally circuit breaker popped accidentally on more than one occasion. So, in fact, that was one of the things. I think it was flight number 704 back in the early 1990s when Auburn Callaway tried to hijack. Yeah, gotcha. Back in the 1990s when Auburn Callaway tried to hijack the DC-10, there was a couple of occasions when the captain looked up and noticed that the cockpit voice recorder circuit breaker had popped, and he reset it, and it was popped again later. And it turned out that Callaway had pulled that circuit breaker. Whilst you were gone, I was explaining the requirement for CVRs and flight data recorders, and that if they had ever been used for discipline, those circuit breakers might pop accidentally a whole lot more often.
Right? Right.
So, I mean, that's the agreement, that the cockpit voice recorder will never be used for anything but mishap investigation, safety investigations, that sort of thing. Never to be released. That's why you can hear the tower tapes and the interaction between pilots and the tower. You will never hear a cockpit voice recorder. And that's because, in particular, people don't want to hear their family members meeting their demise. And that's why we can't want cameras it either. So,
yeah, which comes up a lot. It comes up a lot in aviation safety funding. They people try to slip that in all the time, and it's like, no.
Well, I used to always say I'm for cameras in the cockpit. I'm also for masking tape in the cockpit, but run your camera all you want. Just not going to see me on it. My family's not going to see me involved in a crash. Not going to happen.
Badass is wondering if the demo team had GoPros running. Right. I mean, maybe.
Yeah, possibly. Absolutely. I'm still amazed that there were two Growlers.
I know. Those are kind of like national assets, right? Kind of like a Prowler was because of all the expensive avionics on it. I don't know.
Yeah. I'd be shocked if there were 200 Growlers in existence.
Oh, yeah. That's a good, I wonder if we could search that. I wonder if that's classified or not.
Do that.
Let me see if I can get you a quick answer.
Well, the answer is there are two less than there were last week. Sadly.
Yeah. Well, at one point, I don't know how many there were, 10 years after we got off active duty, but, at any one time back in the day, there was only 200 Harriers?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So there's no way there's that many Growlers. So it'd be, and F8, the EA-6B, there was one squadron of those in the Marine Corps, and then they broke it into 4, but they didn't get them any more airplanes. Those guys had, I don't know, maybe a dozen airplanes. But
yeah, well, the Marine Corps only had one squadron. And
yeah.
I don't know how many squadrons there were in the Navy, but 150.
Okay. There you go.
So it's 148 now.
Yeah. Diz says, according to Mooch, they were authorized to have a demo team, which, boy, look, I'm never going to try and second guess leadership's why we should or why we shouldn't do this. I'm just kind of shocked to see 2 Growlers, because those guys, I wouldn't think, what little I know about their mission, aren't out there as a section anyway, as 2 airplanes anyway. So why they're flying formation in a demo? And look, we're taught good basic formation. They don't just hand the keys to Hornets and go, yeah, you guys go fly together. There's a lot of sophisticated training that goes into it, which is why it's always heartbreaking to see a crash like that where something broke down. Why 2 lost sight of lead? We may, like I say, we may never know, but it's clear that he did, which is heartbreaking. So I'm just glad they're all okay. So that's the good news that came out of Sunday.
All right. Well,
yeah.
Styx is here. Welcome, Styx.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Is he? Where is he?
Hello, Styx. Styx is in the house.
Okay. Oh, Styx is watching on YouTube.
Oh, okay. I got you.
He didn't show up, so he must be working or something like that. Just in time for us to pretty much say goodbye. I'm not even running a spot for Derek this week at dcartworks.net, but go to dcartworks.net and get your idea in his brain and help work out the design for your cool shot.
The dude's
bunch of Harrier bottle openers.
Oh, dude, he's an artist. Number one. Number two, he's limited only by imagination. He's got awesome.
Absolutely.
He's got awesome machinery. He can whip it out.
Yeah.
Martin Baker customers. Oh. Those are Aces, Nacy's seats, right? Ace.
I do not know. That's another question. To which I do
had
not
the same
know
seat
the
we
answer.
did. I thought.
Oh, there were stencils, weren't they?
Aces, stencil. Yeah.
Yeah. And his stick says, unless you're in a helicopter, belly up's a bad idea. And I guess in the helicopter, you want to see. You have step up in the helicopter, so you aren't in the guy's rotor wash. But
that just makes me nervous talking about that.
But yeah, why one would go in a helicopter in the first place is beyond me. Those things are dangerous.
Right.
So
Not right.
Yeah, right. Not right. Yeah. So, all right. Well, so there's our pontification. Not to cast any asparagus on anybody, as they say, but just glad those guys are all okay, and I hope that the outcome results in maybe some more training and back to flight status, because you hate to see even that. I don't want to see that wasted. If they're good guys and they just made a mistake, to guarantee they're the last people to ever make that mistake again. Get them retrained, get them back up and running, and yeah, we'll leave it at that. So I want to thank them for my service and my freedom, and all the veterans and folks who have signed the dotted line and their families. Thank you very much.
Ditto.
What else? A couple other thank yous.
Well, we always have to say thank you to Dave Hamilton, backbeatmedia.com. Dave has provided mentoring, technical savvy, advertising.
All of it, man. He's been gold for this show. So thanks, Dave. We appreciate all you do for us on a continuing basis. And I'm going to use Dave's knowledge here. Again, I got a little bit more to do. My show plan is that when we get to North Carolina is to have lavalier microphones for everybody. And I'm going to try and figure out how we can do some of these stories in an environment where we could have a speaker on and people can hear what we're saying, not just the people in the immediate area.
That would be cool.
So we'll see how that works out. Yeah. So we're going to try and do something like that. So then there's a couple of people who out there have lost all sense of financial responsibilities.
We are glad you have. We're questioning your financial judgment, but we are so humbled that you donate to us via Patreon. And also now through Venmo, right?
Yeah. So there I was.us/donate if you'd like to help keep these numbskulls coming to you. This is not a free project for us, but it's super helpful that so many people have contributed. And I will mention that so Bugs, our friend Bugs, with whom we flew Harriers, put me in touch yesterday with a gent who flew UH-1s, AH-1s, shot down a couple times in Vietnam, and so we're going to get in touch with him, have him on the show to join us. And then Chuck Dyer, Chaz, way back, I want to say he was in like show 3 or 4 or somewhere back in there. And then we had him on again. He put me in touch with Afghanistan Air Force first female pilot.
How about that?
And she's willing to talk to us. Yeah.
So that'd be historical.
Right? Yeah. That'll be very cool. So she has a book out, Flying High, I think is the name of it. I'll get you a copy of it so you can listen to it, as it were. I have it in audio format, and we get that listened to before we get it up and running on the show. But I'm really excited to chat with her, talk about somebody who had to break. It was probably more like a concrete ceiling in Afghanistan than a glass.
Are you kidding me? Yeah. First of all, I'm shocked to even know that there is one.
Yeah, ditto.
So, I mean, that was news to me. And I can't wait to hear her story.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So, hey, could you do us a favor? Go over to sterowos.us/rate. That's as close as we can get you to the place where you can get to the rating system, and drop 5 stars on us, please. It's been a long time since we've gotten any ratings. We sure would appreciate a 5-star rating. Be ever so grateful.
Yeah, and you know what? If you can't give us 5 stars, tell us what we need to do to get 5 stars, number one. And number 2, give that 5-star rating to somebody else.
Bingo. Absolutely.
We're trainable.
Right.
And Badass is here. Well, thanks. Wow, look at that picture. Thank you to Badass at BDS Aviation Photography. Look at that picture.
Absolutely.
That is a magnificent picture, dude.
The guy is an artiste. Yeah. It is amazing. How he pulls that off is beyond me. So thank you, Badass. Much appreciated.
That is an awesome picture.
We did mention dcartworks.net. Go over there, look at some of his stuff. Get an idea in your head, put it in Derek's head, and the next thing you know, you're going to have some cool stuff on your wall and in your bar. Then there's them guys. Those guys.
That sound in the background is the 2 F-16 pilots that make the Air Force sound good. That's the Dos Gringos.
That's right. All right, everybody. Till next week. First of all, come by and see us in North Carolina if you can. We'd love to meet you. Till next week, stay safe.
See ya.
6.
Well, there I was, crossing the pond, and you could see that I wasn't exactly fond of all the shit I was wearing on that day. Now an F-16 is cramped enough, but it's even worse with all that stuff supposed to save your life. But we knew there was no way. 'Cause when you're going down the North Atlantic, man, it's over.
He said
it's over.
Come see us in North Carolina, because it will be...
It's party time! P-A-R-T. Why? Because I gotta!
And we're
out.